description of the currents that one could observe using the voltage clamp, which involves putting a wire down the middle of the axon and then attaching the wire to a voltage clamp apparatus. And one then finds that in 100 millimole, in normal solution, that there is an inward current followed by an outward current, and that if you reduce the sodium concentration outside to 10%, then you get the upper curve, which is the potassium current. So then separated, we have the sodium current, which flows inward and inactivates, and the outward potassium current, which lasts for quite a long time. Okay, sorry, Philip. Okay, so Hodgkin and Huxley then described this in electrical terms, which the membrane capacitance, the sodium conductance, which is variable, the potassium conductance, and the leakage current, which we needn't bother about. Now, early in my career, I had the good fortune to hear from Tasaki and Hagibara about the use of this molecule, tetraethyl ammonium ion, which they first used on squid. And I began thinking about it and decided that it seemed like a good candidate for causing phenomenon that the sort of rectification that one sees in the axon. Sorry, I'm somewhat jet lagged. So this is an aggregate. Let's see. Let's go back just for a moment. This tetraethyl ammonium ion has a central nitrogen which is charged and is surrounded by 4 ethyl groups, and that the overall dimensions are about the same as a hydrated potassium ion. So if you have a potassium ion here, then surrounded with 4 water molecules or 6 water molecules, and it looks very much like a TEA. Now, a variation of this was to increase the length of one of the arms, make it a nodal group rather than an ethyl group, and that had a really quite nice and spectacular oops, sorry, I'll get it eventually. So here is a Chilean giant axon, just from this record was taken just before the days of Pinochet, to give you an idea of the time. Actually, this was Pinochet came right after this was taken, and I haven't been to Chile since then. But anyway, you see then here purely the potassium current starting at minus 60 millivolts, depolarizing to the voltages that are given here, and that the current turns on, and then when you repolarize, it flows inward through the axon and produces this tail of current. Oh, okay. All right, now. This one? Yeah, okay. So the C9, which you saw in the preceding slide, this one produces this. Oh, that one. No, I want to go forward. Okay, never mind, I'll just do it here. So you see that the C9, which is injected inside of the axon, produces this transient current. The channel begins to open, and instead of staying open, the current decays away as the C9. Okay. And it looks like the current inactivates as the normal sodium current does, so this produces a sort of inactivation of the potassium channel. And the description of this was shown here in the control case. You can see the current, the potassium current turns on and simply stays on. And if you inject 60 micromolar of this C9 compound inside, then the current turns on and then decays away. And if you increase the concentration to 210, then everything happens more rapidly. So the idea was that the channel looked something like this. It had a narrow outer part, which was too big for the complete C9 molecule, so that it couldn't go in here, but the potassium ion could lose its waters of hydration and go out through this part out here, which Bernoulli called the selectivity filter. So the C9 ion then enters and stops things up. And oops. So sorry, I'm really jet lagged. Here you can see the C9 entering. This is before the C9 gets in, and the current, when the voltage is restored to the minus 60, the potassium channel closes normally, and if you wait until the C9 is blocked, then there's basically no current when it repolarizes, and then you can see as the C9 comes out of the channel, there is a slowly growing current that while the C9 comes out. So here is the diagram of the water molecule going through, losing its hydration, going all the way through. If the C9 gets in, it blocks the current. The presence of a lot of potassium in the extracellular solution will push the C9 back out of the channel, and then the channel can close. And one other interesting point was that if you hyperpolarize minus 100 millivolts, that you can shut the gate and trap the C9 ion in the channel. So this gave the idea that it was a channel, and I might say that at the time that that was taken, my boss at Casey Cole at the National Institutes of Health was firmly of the opinion that the ions were diffusing through the lipid layer, and that there was the idea of a channel was, well, certainly not a novel idea, but was not widely accepted. So here is a diagram of the hydrated potassium in an open gate, and this is a closed gate of the KCSA channel, which is a variety of channel that doesn't have normal sort of gating. Now here is a diagram of a channel where this one has all four of the subunits open. The potassium channel, of course, has four subunits, and all of them are activated here. If you leave a single one of them so that it is not activated, then it is enough to completely block the current. And it will wait until this last one is open. And that explains the Hodgkin and Huxley idea that they describe this as an in-fourth, something that depends on the fourth power of their variable n. Okay, so here then we have the picture emerging of a vestibule on the inside of the channel, a filter where in the vestibule, the potassium ion loses its waters of hydration, takes off its water coat, goes out, and then resumes its water coat when it gets outside. And the sodium ion, on the other hand, cannot go in here because it would, if it lost its water coat, then, well, it really would not bind well to the carbonyl groups in the selectivity filter. So it would leave an empty space, and that's enough to mean that the sodium ions won't go in appreciably. Now, it was many years until Rod McKinnon in his laboratory provided this picture of the way things work. So here is an open potassium channel with a hydrated potassium drawn in. The hydrated potassium moves into this vestibule, loses its coat of water, and then comes out on the other side where it resumes the coat, borrowing waters from the external medium. Rod and company also provided a picture of a closed potassium channel called the KCSA channel, and the KCSA channel looked like this. It had a selectivity filter that looked much the same, a vestibule where potassiums could enter and lose a coat of water, but then it had a gate down here. This part is too narrow to allow the molecule to go through. So Rod then provided this ribbon diagram. This is a ribbon diagram of his results. Oops. So here you see again the selectivity filter with the waters there, the vestibule, which in this case is and the open channel. Then, if we look at it from one angle, you see that it kind of bulges out down here, and that's the vestibule. And if you look at it in the other direction, it has these arms that come out and will converge in order to close these. So these will move in together in order to close the channel and keep it from conducting. So here's, again, the closed and open channel. This from the bacterial channel, which is always closed. This is from the voltage activated channel, which is always open, because only the open confirmation has been provided so far. And if you look at the cross section of them, you see that this channel won't allow an ion to go through, while this one allows the ion to go through quite easily. Now, how does it work? How does the gate work? Rob then provides also this nice diagram. There is what he calls the charge transfer center, which are electrically negative aspartates, and there is this S4 group, which has numerous positive charges, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here we're looking at the open state of the channel, where a lysine at position 302 is bound to the inner charge transfer center. And this one is electrically on the outside, and this is the next one in line. And presumably when it opens, well, this is the open state, and when it closes, these all move down. It squeezes this way and closes the S6. So here you see the filter, and this is actually fairly accurate in the depiction. So here would be the gating in theory, and thus far there is only a picture of the open potassium channel, because when you can't control the voltage when the channel is isolated. So it's only the open confirmation that has been. So we're left to guess what happens when the thing closes, and here oops. Here you see a guess as to what happens, that the S4, which is, there are 6 helices, S1 through S6. S4 is the one with all of the charges on it, and it presumably moves downward. This would be the open state drawn here. It moves downward and does something like this. It pushes this S4-5 group in such a way that it pushes this S6 over to the position that it is in the closed potassium channel. This also, for people who are interested in my muscle is the way EC coupling works. Clara doesn't approve of this, but I'll tell you in any case that this is quite a substantial motion. This is about 15 angstroms, and my notion is that the calcium channel that is present in the T-tubule has a similar kind of motion, and when the voltage is changed appropriately, and that this will come down and squeeze together the calcium release channels in the sarcoplasmic reticulum. So anyway, Clara doesn't like that idea very much, but I'm sure it's right. So here once again you see, the charge transfer center concept of rod, the 302, the bottom lysine, and then the S4-5, which connects to the S5, and then the S6 is the four-lining helix, and there's a nice hole here in the case when this is like this, and then if you pull this down, the S4-5 gate closes, this gets compressed, and so the ion stops moving. I've got about 4 minutes. Now, what about the sodium channel? Well, the sodium channel has this interesting effect which has been observed now that if you change one of the you can fix it so that you continue to have the charge movement that is appropriate for a channel, but it loses EC coupling. The channel won't open, and that's indicated here by the fact that the sodium current disappears. You see that it's very small, it's just this, while the charge movement remains unaffected. So how does one explain that? Well, that's it has been found that there is, if you change this asparagine to something else, anything else, that the channel doesn't open. So the idea is that the asparagine forms a bond with this serine, and so here we see it in a rotated view, and that this is a tight hydrogen bond, and that's important for stabilizing the open state of the channel. And if you remove the asparagine, then the channel won't open. So I've talked about the potassium channel. Now I'm switching to the sodium channel, which was in the preceding slide, is the arguments. The sodium channel is quite different from the potassium channel, which has 4 identical subunits. The sodium channel has 4 quite dissimilar sodium subunits. And the role of the sodium channel in activation, normally the current turns on and then inactivates. So what is the role of the sodium current in all of that? And here's a guess. Here's a closed channel, and then closed channel, and then as the channel activates, well, in the closed state, the inner ends of the S6 groups have this highly hydrophobic motif here. In domain 2, it's an LLL, and here it's an isoleucine and leucine, so that would be very hydrophobic. And Bill Catterall and group have discovered that the inactivating particle seems to be an IFM motif that is in domain 3, in the linker between domain 3 and domain 4, which is the one that we've seen up here. So this is this IFM group then, according to me, goes in and binds to these hydrophobic things that become exposed when the channel is open, and that is the inactivated state. And Catterall's IFM group then goes in and binds there. And now, the sodium channel has not been crystallized very well except by use of this detergent from Ning Yan, and her group in China. And they use this detergent in order to isolate the channel and get it in position to allow it to crystallize. And so they say that the picture that you've just seen here is quite wrong, that in fact this goes somewhere else in the structure. Now what I think that they have failed to recognize is that this is a detergent. The IFM motif is surrounded by intensely hydrophilic groups on both sides to keep it from going very far into the channel. And that this detergent goes into the same place. So the detergent goes right in here to replace this essentially, what is essentially a detergent, with the IFM motif in it. So this, the net result is that if you read her paper, then she will conclude something totally different from this picture, which I submit remains viable and correct. So I'll quit since I'm